and take a deep whiff of yourself. Now really, go ahead. Do you smell more like a boy or a girl, or is there even any difference? It smells like a dog, because I've been petting my dog. There are all sorts of factors that influence our individual body odors, such as diet, metabolism, and even our biological sex. Scientists have determined that women's underarms tend to smell more like onions and grapefruit, while men tend to reek like stinky cheese. Further studies have found that we tend to choose perfumes and colognes that smell the closest to our own natural scents, which makes sense, since the whole purpose of wearing this stuff is to project attractiveness through olfactory signaling. There could perhaps be some science to perfume for women tending to smell a bit sweeter, while cologne for men is a bit more pungent, but hopefully not pungent as in stinky cheese pungent. But of course there's also gender at play in the perfume aisle, because if you look at the history of perfume, which first arrived in Europe in the 14th century, if we fast forward from the Renaissance to the late 19th century, wearing perfume and also the scent of those perfumes was gender neutral. Everybody who could afford perfume simply wore perfume, whether they were a man or a woman. There was no Calvin Klein for him and Calvin Klein for her. Everybody back in the day was essentially wearing CK1, metaphorically speaking, of course. But then once we get to the late 19th century, it is actually science that causes us to drop the perfume in favor of deodorizing. This is when we're really starting to understand germ theory, personal hygiene, and maybe the idea that covering up the scent of filth isn't so healthy. Deodorizing becomes more the rule of the day, and perfume wearing becomes highly gendered. Proper women of the day might wear a dab of sweet floral perfume, but not too much. If you were a woman wearing a noticeable amount of perfume, you would be assumed to be a prostitute. Meanwhile, for gentlemen of the day, perfume wearing was no longer considered masculine. But it was then replaced by less overpowering fragrances that were a bit sharper and woodsier, scents of pine and cedar, a little bit of leather and tobacco, the kinds of scents that we associate with men's cologne today. For one final bit of science, it's worth remembering that when you squirt on perfume or cologne, what you smell is that fragrance interacting with and amplifying the bacterial alchemy of your own skin, not the scent of your gender.